I am David Felberg, and I am a musician here in Albuquerque, a violinist and conductor in the city of Albuquerque. I play for the New Mexico Philharmonic. I play for the Santa Fe Symphony. I play a lot of chamber music around New Mexico in Taos and in Santa Fe. And I run a series called Chatter, which we put on 60 performances a year. And so I'm the artistic director of that, as well as some other freelance things that I do around the city. They moved here in 1969, and it was, still the Old West out here. And my father got a position at the University of New Mexico as the violin professor, and my mother is a terrific pianist. And it was around the time that both my brother and I was born. And so she sort of took some time off performing to help raise us, at least for about 7 years. And my father worked at the University of New Mexico. They both met at Indiana University, which is a really high-powered music school. And they had different careers. My father went to Yale for his undergraduate and master's degree, and then he went and joined the Army and ended up in an orchestra in the Army called the 7th Army Symphony, which was a European touring orchestra that toured all the countries, post-war countries. And while he was there, he auditioned and successfully got into the Concertgebouw Orchestra, which is one of the greatest orchestras that ever was. And he spent a couple of years there, and then he came back to the United States. He missed home, born in Brooklyn, and he came back and decided to go get a doctorate at the Indiana University. And my mother, they actually escaped Europe when she was 3 years old from Belgium, and they ended up in New York City, and she went to University of Michigan, University of Miami, and ended up at the Indiana Music School. And they were match made by a famous cellist named Janos Starker, who put them in a group together, and the rest is history. My father had a phenomenal studio of great violinists for 30 years, and he and my mother played quite a bit of concerts at the university. At that time, there really wasn't much chamber music going on except at the university, so they would play recitals and things and get huge crowds, and it was really quite a great thing for people to go to. And so both through their teaching and their performing, they really became a staple here in the community. My musical interests are similar to my parents. Of course, my father played the violin, and so do I. And classical music. I grew up actually listening to mostly rock and roll, and sort of caught the classical bug. Even though it was in the household, I caught the bug a little bit later. And so, just basically performing the same repertoire. I like to do a lot of contemporary repertoire, new music. And so I, branched out into lots of different interesting composers, and I still, believe in that, trying to put out there music of our time and to see how it goes. You never know what's out there until you produce it. I think New Mexico is a special place for musicians and lovers of music. I think that the beautiful scenery here and the outdoor, atmosphere in the mountains is really quite inspiring, actually, to a lot of people. Over the years, world-class organizations have formed in New Mexico, the Santa Fe Opera and the Santa Fe Chamber Music Festival. There's great symphony orchestras both in Albuquerque and in Santa Fe, professional symphony orchestras. And, there's also this idea, there's also a real pioneering spirit out here. We're the West, and things are new and fresh and open. And I think there's a lot of possibility to do some really interesting, great things here that are, that get attention. And I think that pioneering spirit is, in the people of Albuquerque, and gives us a reason to, do what we do. And we've got a lot of, music fans, a lot of music lovers. My Chatter organization, we do a lot of new music, and we perform in an old warehouse and things like that. And so it's very non-traditional, but we get really big crowds and people really interested. It's really, really part of the community. It's not like we're going into the community to show. We're actually in the community itself. And so there's a sense of belonging. And we put on shows every Sunday morning, and people not sure what they're going to hear from one Sunday to the next, and they're always hopefully surprised and and it's just a great vibe overall. But I think, just being in New Mexico and the scenery and the beauty of the land is really inspiring. It's inspiring to a lot of artists and musicians included.